Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Flip the Mindset podcast. We are back. It's been a long minute. We are in good health and we could call this effectively season 2 of the Flip the Mindset podcast. I've got some wonderful guests lined up for you all and I hope you enjoy what we're about to bring. Today we've got the fantastic Darren Thomson. It's been a while that we've wanted you on, and we were supposed to have you on, but obviously took a break from the podcast. How are you? How's things?
I'm good, mate. Just wheeling about, I guess.
What's been happening? What you been up to?
Not much. Just obviously TikTok lives. Just being myself, mate. Just living my life.
So Darren is a influencer, you could say, raises a lot of awareness for a lot of different conditions, raises money for different charities, does a lot of charity events. You do TikTok, you've just hit 37,000 followers on TikTok, which is fantastic. Terrible at telling jokes. No, a great all-round person. You've done really well. You're starting to come alive on your YouTube and TikTok and different platforms. When did it all start for you?
Obviously, I had the YouTube up in 2018, and I thought to myself on the 29th of March 2018, I thought, how can I share my story, share my journey? I'll start my own YouTube channel. I uploaded a couple of videos of me from football games that I went to when I was before my stroke and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then in 2019, I ended up starting to interview footballers with no qualifications whatsoever.
So you just kind of thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going for it.
I just
interview people outside games and try and grow a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think my first mission, if you were to say, was especially to raise awareness of people that have strokes. Can happen to anyone at any age. You know, you can be the healthiest person or anything like that, and obviously I had mine at the age of 20, so it kind of fucked me over since it was like a month before my 21st.
Yeah, so you've got, for people who don't know, Darren's got Noonans disease. Before you tell us what that is, basically had his childhood, primary school and all that stuff, as we'll talk to, secondary school, played football, stuff like that. Life was relatively normal. You went out, had a few whiskies, you know what I mean, and had a good time like all teenagers do, and then to the end of your teenage years, you fell with a stroke, and then you've been in a wheelchair ever since, with carers and stuff like that. That's a huge change to life, Darren. A huge change to life, and we'll talk about that and the resilience and strength that you've showed coming back from that. Something we maybe don't talk about enough on this podcast. But let's go back to where it all started. How was life like for you? What was life like for you growing up? What was because I know you had some complications when you were born and stuff like that. What was primary school like and childhood?
You know what, growing up, like any other person, it was great. Obviously, my dad Philip. I'm his only son, but he brought up 3 other brothers, half-brothers, as his own. Stuff like that. My dad used to get me up in the morning for school, used to take me to school, stuff like that. So obviously I had that, and then I was always in and out of hospital from when basically ever since I've been young.
Did your dad treat that as normal? Obviously, you're doing lots of trips to the hospital. Did it feel normal?
You know what? To me, it did. It just felt like, well, it's going to be a bit part of my life. Get used to it, technically. But the way I see it is like the hospital's like my second home as such. The only difference is I can leave it and, well, don't need to stay there.
Yeah, and some kids do, and that's the sad reality to it. So when did you find out you had Noonans then? Did you always know?
My dad and my biological mother, at first someone told them that I had Down syndrome.
Okay.
But then someone that clearly knew about Noonans said to my parents that I had Noonans, which is second coming to Down syndrome. It is 1 in every 1,000 chances of someone having Noonan syndrome. It's not very common in like the UK,
right,
as in America and stuff like that. But no, obviously, me having Noonans, it's not really bothered me as such. I've kind of just grew up with it, lived with it, stuff like that. It's, the way I see it is, I was born with something. I can't change that. So, fuck it.
Learn to make the best of it. You know, I love that. I love that mindset. And yeah, because obviously I know you now and I'm friends with you now and we talk quite a lot. You don't let much faze you and you use everything to your advantage. Even the small things you'll use to your advantage. You're very smart like that in a positive way. Is that something you've learned growing up?
Yeah, so obviously with me growing up, I've always had a blue badge and stuff. Now, when I was, people that's got disabilities can learn to drive at 16.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad used to take me out when I was 16 to Tweedbank Industrial Estate to make me learn to drive. And I had no qualms, I was confident. However, a certain individual was putting me down. But we'll speak more about that later. My dad said to start with, obviously, I had to pull the seat forward, put the seat up, because at the time I was like 4 foot, probably 4'10" or 4'5", quite small. But no, I was a confident driver. Yeah, at the start my road positioning was shite, but it's like, it's not going to happen overnight, it's going to take time.
Nothing wrong with being bad at driving before you learn how to drive. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Exactly. And so when I was 16, I think my dad took me out 2 or 3 times.
So is that right? When you have a blue badge, you can start learning at 16?
No, not with a blue badge, just people with disabilities can.
Right.
You don't need to have a blue badge. Like, right. I didn't know. I don't know whether the laws maybe changed now, but it certainly was when I was that age.
Yeah.
And then I stopped because I knew myself was still immature. And then it wasn't until I was maybe 18 that I went. At the start, I was paying for lessons. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until my dad's like, son, you can get driving lessons for free. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, people with disabilities can get lessons for free. So my dad looked into it for me, and I had to do so many free lessons I then had to sit my theory. And yeah, theory wasn't my strong point. First time that I ever done it, even studying it, I was 1 mark off.
Oh, nightmare.
The other 2 times I studied, I was miles off.
It's weird how it works, isn't it? Probably questioning yourself.
Yeah, I was like thinking to myself, am I better studying or just winging it? But you know what, obviously I thought I'm not gonna, I'll maybe try again when I'm in my late 20s or late 20s. But
How was primary school for you then?
Primary school, for me, obviously, being small, wearing glasses, having bright ginger hair, it was kind of difficult.
Right.
In terms of, I got bullied, basically, throughout my school life in primary. And I believe when I was in primary 1 or 2, this guy was bullying me before we lined up to go inside. So I punched him in the nose. And, well, burst his nose. But he tried to say that he had a bleeding nose the morning before I punched him. Oh well. Shit happens.
Stuck up for yourself then?
Exactly. Well, then he pushed me over the bag and I hit my head, so I had to go home.
What was your challenges throughout primary school?
My spelling was atrocious. My writing was couldn't write to save myself. Like looking at the board, it was quite difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a auxiliary.
Yep.
That's helping me. But in primary, 2 teachers, bags, basically said that I wouldn't achieve anything. I was lazy, stuff like that. No, I wasn't lazy. I had an attention span where when I got loads of information chucked them out once, I'd just switch off. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they clearly didn't know what would happen in years to come.
Yeah, I think it's probably a misunderstanding, you know, like a lot of kids with disabilities are misunderstood at school. We had a boy in my class growing up, and I remember him quite vividly being called lazy. He was quite heavily disabled, and I can't remember what the condition was, but he was anything but lazy. He did try, it's just that he really struggled, and he maybe acted in a way that he didn't want people around him to see them struggles. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's why some of the teachers acted the way they did, but it wasn't fair, and I can remember that vividly. What about so you're coming up through primary school, P7. Oh, you had something else to deal with in primary school. You were talking about, and this is something that many kids might go through, the incontinence stage of it in P2, P3 was it?
It was either P2 or P3 now. With me, I don't know why I done it, but sometimes I didn't know when I needed the toilet. And sometimes, well, I shit myself.
Fuck yeah.
But then
I remember when you first told me that, and you were like, you put a funny spin on it, But it's real serious.
But then I thought to myself, well, shit happens. But then I thought, I ain't going to be the cunt to clean myself up. I'm going to make someone else wipe my arse.
And I like how you put the funny side to it, but that's scary for many people. You know, it's scary. It's not. It's almost, for many people, that's their worst nightmare. And you've been through that, and I've known a few people in school to be through similar, and it must be a very scary place to be, going through that kind of thing, having to hide it, as you say. You hid it, but who is there to see when stuff like that happens, and you have got a condition, or you're going through some stuff? Who is there to talk to? Is there an out for you?
No, so basically, when it used to happen, sometimes it would smell. So it was a bit obvious, but I tried to make sure no one knew it was me. But and I would go and...
Oh, Tommy, what was that?
No, but I used to go to the teacher, be like, I've had an accident, kind of go to the office. They were brilliant. They were, couldn't be any more nicer. But yeah, no one really knew, well, not that I'm aware of, knew that I shit myself.
What would you say to people going through something similar in school today? Because there's a lot of school kids and teenagers that watch this podcast who have got similar difficulties or conditions.
You know what? Yeah, it's easy for me to sit here and tell it my side, and how I just, all the time, I didn't care. Now, regardless of what anyone says, I'm pretty sure they've probably done a lot worse. So just embrace it. At the end of the day, it's not you that's cleaning up after you. So, just, you know what, just wing it, nah.
It's brilliant.
Nah, just wing it, man.
I think that's what a lot of people have fallen in love with, your kind of blunt, kind of dark humoric side, and many people didn't understand it at first, didn't they not? You get a bit of stick for that, but when you talk to you for a while, you start getting it. I've done it as well, man. I was in the gym, in Pure Gym, squatting. I told you this story, didn't I? Mm-hmm. 200 kilo on the bar, squatting with my mate Chris Beattie. Went down, brilliant, good rep. Went down, good rep, felt a fart coming on. Went down, farted, shat myself, ran to the toilet. Chris's face, man, he went beach ready. He went so red, and he's looking at me, and it was like a 2-second look, but it lasted like 20 seconds, and he's like, no, and I'm going, yeah. He's like, no. And then he's helped me put the bar on. He's went to sit down, and I've sprinted to the toilet, got into the toilet, cleaned myself, right, boxers off, boxers in the bin that was there. Went to wipe my arse, no toilet roll. Brutal. Socks off job, fucking straight back out. So you're right, there's many people that have been through similar. So it's just to kind of put a more lightheartedness on the difficulties, because it's maybe not talked about enough, the people that have got conditions such as yourself. So the transition into secondary school, you'd been up for a few visits and stuff, which was good, so that was pretty smooth, you said. What were some of the experiences and difficulties and good times in there?
You know what? High school was probably the more... Obviously, I went up for a couple of visits, and a lot of people knew me. already up there. Majority of it through my brother, Ryan. I believe. No, I think he had left school at that time. My brother had obviously left high school at that time, but a lot of his friends knew me. So I got looked after, I got a lift pass, I got out 5 minutes early in case I got crushed. Stuff like that. I got to take someone out with me, like, to make sure I got there, but it was pretty much when I got out. And my old teachers may be watching. When you let me out 5 minutes early, I used to go for a fag before I went to my second class. So
I didn't know you smoked when you were younger.
Aye.
Well, you done all sorts of stuff like that when you were young, didn't you?
Yeah.
Here's a question. See, when you were, obviously, pre-stroke, you could walk,
Yes.
run, you looked...
12.
Normal isn't the word to use. What I'm trying to say is you looked able, right? Did people treat you differently then than they do now? And I mean in the sense of saying you're lazy and all that kind of stuff, because there's this big thing now that we speak about that between physical health and mental health. You know, like, you know, a guy's going with a girl and the girl breaks her leg. He looks after her, all that kind of stuff. Oh, don't do that, don't get that, I'll get this, I'll get that. But the girl turns around and says she's struggling with anxiety. There's no really that compassion or that kind of compromise or attention to detail as there would be with a physical condition. So do you feel, because you had Noonans in both times, you know, you had Noonans pre-stroke and post-stroke. Yeah.
Well, I lived with Noonans.
Well, exactly. So, but do you feel people treated you different before?
You know what? Like, after I left school and done whatever, I had a lot of friends, and when I went to nightclubs, I always used to get free drinks. Now, the people that really know me, like my true friends, they still see me for me. Other people, yeah, they probably look at the chair before they see me. I don't actually give a shit what they think, because at the end of the day, it's what I think. My true friends know what I'm like. I'm my dad. So anyone else, I don't actually give a shit what they think.
Leading up to, so the stroke came at 20. You talk about a time between school and between the stroke being pretty rough and tumble and a bit wild. Talk to us about that. Was that a transition in your life? Was that what built up to that being as rocky as it was?
In what terms?
So obviously you left school.
Yeah.
You were drinking a lot, partying a lot, said your head wasn't in the right place and all that kind of stuff.
So obviously I left school with no qualifications. I then went to Borders Production Unit, which is kind of like doing catering. Obviously Borders Production Unit is no longer there. I then left that, went to college, gone to college, no worries, and done hospitality. Hospitality. And I passed level 1. I then passed level 2. Quite easy, got loads of support in college. They wanted me to do level 2 over 2 years, just for maybe a wee bit more experience. I got a job interview in, I believe it was June or July in 2016. First ever job interview. I went confident. I actually wore black shoes, black trousers and a white shirt.
Are you going to a job or going to court?
Well, I just thought I'd wear that. Took my qualifications in. She asked me, obviously, why I wanted to work there, etc. I gave back clearly positive answers. And I knew that day leaving the restaurant, I had the job. Then they phoned my dad the week later to say I got the job.
How did that feel?
You know what? It felt amazing because it was like my first ever job interview.
Mm-hmm.
And it meant that ever since I left school, I've always done something. Whether it was being at Borders Production Unit or being at college. So I'd always done something. Mm-hmm. And for me to get a job full time, it meant that I could leave college with the qualifications that I had and focus purely on adult life.
Yeah, because that's why I asked that question, because obviously you've got school's a kind of safety, isn't it? Primary school and then you come out of school and you're like, whoa, it's the big life. And that's when you can soon realise that you've maybe not got the care or the attention to the finer hardships and details in life, and you have to go it yourself. So getting that job must have been fantastic. Coming out of school with no qualifications, getting the job, and then you're kind of starting to brand yourself, and become a part of society.
Yeah, obviously when I was working, I was behaving myself when I was at work. That's when I turned up, to be fair. But you know what? Yeah, I had a good attendance to start with. And then it wasn't the fact I was phoning in sick and just doing all that. I think I got in with the wrong crowd at the time. Mm-hmm. And I drank, even though I sometimes maybe had a shift that night. Mm-hmm. So obviously I phoned up, pulled sickies, used to turn up late. But I was actually speaking to my own manager yesterday, James, and he was asking me if I was behaving. I was like, have I ever behaved? He's like, you did when you were in work and when you turned up for your shift. I went, well, at least I still turned up. But then obviously that's when I had a job and I was earning money every week. Obviously no massive amounts. Mm-hmm. I was going to party and probably every night.
Wow.
Literally every night. Coming home at like 3:30 in the morning.
What was it, just drink or drugs?
So I tried weed a couple of times. It was alright. But it was really started 2017. I experimented with cocaine. Mm-hmm. So obviously I got it for nothing. I got a wee bag. This is obviously when I lived at home. I wasn't even in my own place a month. So I thought, right, I'll take, I think I had 3 lines, small, like that, in that size. And I thought, right, I'll put the bag away. I then got the buzz. I ended up taking, the bag. Mm-hmm. Realised, shit, I've got a heart condition. Wasn't that the best, so my heart was going rapid. So I was like, shit. So I thought, right, at the time I wasn't scared. I was like, shit. God knows if someone's going to come in the morning and I'm going to be, well, absolutely mangled on my couch.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'd phone an ambulance just to get checked out.
Yep.
Took me to the hospital, checked me out, it was fine. My dad picked me up. At this time, my dad didn't know that I took cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember getting back into my house, seeing all the little white pellets on the carpet. So I was like, yeah, let's just hoover that up, bin the bag and pretend nothing's happened.
That's how quick it is, isn't it? Few lines and then it's the whole bag, and then it's a full night of anxiety thinking you're going to have a heart attack. Not good at all.
Nah, but you know what? It's one of them. I experimented it. The buzz was good. Would I do it again? No, because you're only getting like a buzz for maybe 10 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
So what's the big hype about it? And kids, adults, don't do drugs. It's not clever, not smart, and it ruins lives.
What about... Talk to me about Noonans. So, talk to me about Noonans, what it is, how it's affected you, and then tell me about the time leading up to the stroke.
Right, so Noonans is a genetic disorder. For me, but again, it affects other people differently. So some people can have it full blown, or other people can only have parts in Noonans.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, short stature. So I used to need to inject my dad used to inject my legs with growth hormone from a young age. When I was born, I was chubby from when I was born till I was 5-year-old. So again, I never got the nutrition or anything. That's why I just eat plain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No sauces. I just eat what I like.
Mm-hmm.
It affects my bleeding. I bleed easy. I bruise easy. There's so many obviously factors that affects me. Cardiology wise, like my heart, my liver. Basically, I would say I'm a broken down car. Because I'm always constant needing MOT'd.
It's incredible how far you've came. You know, seeing your development now and just how much you've took the bull by the horns. Because you were quite into your football, and there's pictures of you playing football and stuff. And so, did you play football the week of the stroke? It kind of went from normal to you not being able to really talk.
Right, so obviously in 2014 I joined football. Like I played football for the school and stuff. But I joined, at the time it was Scottish Borders Disability Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2016 we got took over by Gallifreyan Rovers. And then in 2017 I got my own place. And then I think a year prior to me getting my own place and stuff, I had to go for meetings with, at the time, my neurosurgeon, Dr. Gallo. We had numerous conversations in terms of a spinal cord operation, because I used to walk on my tiptoes.
Yep.
Because my spinal cord had a knot in it.
Yep.
And he said that if I didn't get that operation later down in life, when I was about maybe 35, 40, I'd end up in a wheelchair because it would just get tighter and tighter and tighter. So the procedure was in 2017.
So wait a minute, they've offered you an operation to sort a knot in the spine.
Yep.
Right? That, to put it in context, that will save you from being in a wheelchair, being put in a wheelchair 15 years later, 10, 15 years later. So prolong your time out of a wheelchair. Or they could give you the operation, but there could be consequences. Did they tell you that?
No, they said that if it went wrong, I would be paralyzed. The operation was a success. Now, they've looked into it, neurosurgeons looked into it, from when I had the operation to when I had the stroke. It's not linked together.
How long was it after the operation you had the stroke?
11 days after.
You're joking.
But no.
How could they even say that wasn't linked?
Because they realised that before they even done that, I had, when I was a baby, my dad believes when I was a baby, they think I might have had a wee mini stroke. Because I had a dry blood clot around the brain.
Right.
Already. And I think it's just been brewing and brewing.
Could they not seen that through any scans, no, growing up?
They did, but they said to my dad that they didn't think it was, like, there is one in a scan where you can see a wee dry blood clot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think people just with Noonans got, I think, now looked into neuro, like, affects your, like, whatever the word is.
Neurodevelopment.
Neurological or whatever it is. But no, they weren't linked together because my dad double checked. My dad asked the same question. Mm-hmm. But like they say, it wasn't linked. I was always going to have a stroke. Just the timing's kind of bad. I mean, the way I see it, I think my brain decided that I wanted to be comatose a month before my 21st, and I think my brain wanted to, well, reboot itself.
Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. How did you recover after the stroke?
Well, when I had the stroke, it was very weird. Like,
were you on the football field when you had it?
No. So, on the 5th of June, I was at home. My friend Michael Allison was in my house as well. I was lying on the floor. He was on my couch, just watching YouTube. I was obviously sore and kinda aye. And I think it was 7:15. I started to get a sore head here. Mm-hmm. But I thought, just a sore head. Mm-hmm. My mate Mike was like, have you eaten anything? I I was like, no, because I wasn't hungry. And then 15-20 minutes passed. I tried to sit up, and I couldn't feel the left-hand side. Now, in my head, I knew exactly what it was, but at the same time, I didn't actually want to believe it. So I was like, Michael, come here. So my mate Michael's lifted up my arm, and it just dropped. I went, phone my dad.
Wow.
So my dad came to my house. Now, because my speech didn't go and my face didn't drop, my dad tried to make me stand. When he knew that I couldn't, he rushed me over to the Borders General Hospital. Now, the last memory I have of being in the Borders General Hospital was throwing up black stuff and telling my dad to put his hand under my head to stop the banging. That's the last memory I have of that. Now, what my dad's told me is he got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning to basically say there was nothing anyone else could do. That's obviously when my dad went to the hospital and just said to them, phone Edinburgh, phone his neurosurgeon. And I am going to put this out there. My biological mother turned around to my dad. Now, before I get to this, my dad said to me when I ended up in the hospital, do you want me to let your mother know? I was like, no. So my dad, when I became unresponsive, he's took that decision out of my hands. He's told her. She then kicked off and was like, why am I only getting told now? And then because my dad's told them to phone Edinburgh and phone my neurosurgeon, Fiona's went, they've just said there's nothing anyone can bloody do. So she was prepared to let me die, where my dad knew that people, i.e. my neurosurgeon, who, bear in mind, is one of the best in Europe, saved my life. Now, if it was down to Fiona, because they both had, I think it's called guardianship.
You'd be dead.
Yeah.
How did they save your life?
So, I was in a proper coma for 2 weeks. But
can you remember any of the coma?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, but before I get to that, so they rushed me up. This is obviously what my dad's told me. They've rushed me up to the Western General at 5:05 in the morning. Blues all the way. The police closed the road off, and they actually put me straight through to an emergency operation, where they've basically done an operation in my head to drain the fluid. And then I believe at the time my neurosurgeon decided to take over my care. Other doctors was telling him that he was wasting his time, stuff like that. Now, at the time, no one knew whether I was going to live or die. My neurosurgeon said to my dad that he was only giving me a 3% chance survival. 3%. Now, whilst I was in the coma, I caught pneumonia, caught sepsis. My heart rate hit 190 for 3 days straight.
Wow.
And then on Father's Day, I kind of woke up. But the same day, I had the relapse. that's where I woke up and just went straight back to sleep. That's when my neurosurgeon went back into my head to do the drain again, and he said to my dad, if this operation doesn't work, he ain't waking up again. Now, when I was in the coma, I could hear my dad, hear my friends, stuff talk to me. Now, at the time, it was like being in a realistic dream. You know, like the dreams where you actually believe you're there.
Yeah, the real vivid ones.
Yeah. Well, it was like that. Now, for me, I was like, I can remember it, but I couldn't wake up, couldn't move. It was weird. It was pretty scary. Because, like, I was thinking to myself, well, say thinking, but what the fuck? Like, am I gonna die or what? So, obviously he put me in a religious coma for 3 months after he'd done the operation. And then obviously when I eventually woke up the second time, when I woke up, I generally thought it was the next again day, personally. The only thing that I knew, I generally thought I changed rooms, because it was a different bloody room, and well, different nurses. And then I can't remember how I found it. It was like 3 months later. I think maybe it was my dad that showed like my birthday cards and stuff. I can't remember how. I think he told me. I think he went when I woke up. That's a long sleep, son. You've been sleeping for 3 months. And in my head at the time I can't talk, because I've still got tubes in my nose. And in my head I'm like, what do you mean? Slept for 3 months. Actually I thought my dad had went Dale Alley. But then obviously again I couldn't talk for another 3 months. It was frustrating because I knew what I wanted to say. Just nothing would come out. So my dad brought my old iPhone 4S up and gave me it. Now, he would phone me, but at the time, the only way I could communicate was either doing that or blinking. Or doing that. So the nurse used to answer the phone for me, and it'll be a normal phone call, and I'd just be like that. And my dad's like, son, I can't see you're gonna have to try and talk. So a couple of times I did try and say something, but nothing really made any sense. I think once I was tried to say hi and I'm like, just...
Yep.
And then one day my dad's like, what are hearts? I was like, hearts are shit. But it was so like soft and quiet. I was like, when I first said it, I'm like, what the fuck? And it was, you know what, it felt good.
Nice moment.
Saying that, finally being like, thank fuck I can speak.
Yeah. Everyone else going, fuck, he can speak. No.
But then obviously my voice got stronger and stronger.
So you had voice box damage then? What were you dealing with post-stroke? Was it obviously you were paralysed? So you weren't paralysed, you could use your, is it your left leg you used to stand? Your right leg? when you were doing remember you texted me the video of you standing on one leg?
Oh, well, after my stroke.
After, post-stroke.
Oh, so obviously that was like a couple of years down the line. So I couldn't sit up, didn't have feeling.
Well, you didn't have feeling anywhere?
Just down the left-hand side still. And then I think it was mid-September. Yeah, it was either end of September, beginning of October when I got transferred back down to the Borders General Hospital. So I was closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
Now it was either that or Ashley Ainsley, but they figured out that they could both do the same job. Mm-hmm. So I got transferred down to the Borders General. Again, couldn't sit up, I couldn't do anything, to be fair. And then obviously, when I got away hospital on the 1st of December 2017, my dad had to build a wheelchair of 3 or 4. Now that was just to get me out. Mm-hmm. And then the year later, I got this wheelchair, which was a lot better. But yeah, when I got away hospital, 1st of December, prior to me getting out of hospital on the 1st of December, they allowed my dad, in a couple of weeks prior, letting me out for my lunch with my dad, and I got to go home, on my dad's, to watch a football, whatever. And then, obviously, my dad had to take me back at night, which was shit. And then, on the 1st of December, when I got out, my dad decided to take me shopping. Now, it was a scary thought for me, because I was like, how's my friends going to look at me? Like, how's other people going to look at me? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was quite hard. Obviously, I still lie on a profiling bed, but it's just a normal mattress, where when my dad was my full-time carer, I was on an airflow mattress. My dad had to turn me at night. He had to I had to learn to sit up. I'm on, honestly, so much hard work between me, my dad, and the physios to basically get where I am today. Every 3 months I get Botox in the left side into the muscles, and that sort of relaxes them and loosens them. Mm-hmm. And in back end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I got full feeling back in the left hand side.
Wow. How did that feel?
Well, at first, obviously, I was in the stroke chair, a big green chair, and when I was sitting, I thought, maybe I had pins and needles. I felt like it. So I lifted up my leg. I put the left leg across my right, and I tickled my foot. Because when I used to do it, I couldn't really feel anything. So I tickled my foot, and my foot jerked. I was like, holy shit. It felt good getting feeling back, man.
You talk or should I say, you don't talk too much about your dad on TikTok. That's where you spend most of your time. You'll say the odd wee thing, but you and your dad have got quite a special relationship. He's obviously been there for you. He's kept you through. He was the person who made the decision to that he believed that you had one little ember of fight left in you to carry on and be something in this world. Talk to me about your dad and what your feelings are for him.
Because I'm my dad's only son, me and my dad just were very, very close. I would say I'm more a social media person, influencer, whatever you may call me, whereas my dad's obviously 60. He's getting a bit old for that kind of side. But look, I kind of like to, I think my dad likes a private life, which is fine. When he's with me, obviously we get the odd photo of football games. But I think with TikTok, because I've got a big following and I've got loads of trolls, I like to keep my dad, I don't want to show TikTok the soft side of me. Obviously me and my dad's got a really great relationship. I love him to bits, and look, I truly believe that, yep, he's been through some tough times with me. He's had to come up to Edinburgh to get me, with me being pissed, to Peebles, Selkirk. Yeah, he's had to come and collect me from even the police station after I've been arrested. He's kind of made me try and maybe get a scare, so I've ended up being in a hoik cells overnight. Now, the weird thing about that is the 4 times that I've been arrested, every time that I've been arrested, I've always had work the next again night. So I've always made work. Now, I truly believe, I think my dad's obviously spoke with the police and said just keep him in overnight, try and scare him. I think he's done that to pretty much save my job. I believe if I didn't have a job, I would have probably done a weekender.
You didn't have a dad?
Pardon?
What if you didn't have a dad?
I don't even know, obviously my dad's 60. He's not getting any younger. I don't even want to think about that, man. Fuck, no.
You know what, to cry, it's alright.
Nah, I ain't crying. I got my dad together with his new missus. I'm gonna keep her name private because of her job.
She's been great with you though, yeah?
Yeah, me and look, we've whoops.
We'll cut that out.
Fucking hell. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, it's alright, we'll cut it out.
Yeah, me and my stepmom, we knew each other before my stroke. We used to, drink in the pub and stuff like that. So, and I knew her son through school. So I got them together on my 22nd birthday. So, and
did you play a bit of Cupid in there?
I did, but I'm going to say I think my dad's punch him way above his. Aye.
Most of us are, eh?
that look. Now, my biological mother tried to say that my dad kicked me out. No. My dad never kicked me out, but she kicked me out. And basically, in COVID, I ended up in Kielder to Shield.
What's that?
Kielder's a adventure plaything up near Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went there to Shield. It was only meant to be for 2 weeks. Ended up being 2.5 months. And so, at the time I got a social worker. Well, I already had one, but that social worker left and I got a new one. And it wasn't that my dad didn't want me to go back live, but me and my dad even spoke way before COVID happened. And the target was always for me to get more independence back. Now, my dad at the time wasn't sure whether me living on my own was good. Maybe he thought I would need a lot more care. So I ended up in temporary shared accommodation. Now, that was a shit show from start to finish. It was not a place for me because the other person got 24-hour care, and they had to do other.
Difficult.
Pardon?
So it was difficult.
You know what? For me, because I have a voice, and if support workers, carers, whatever you may want to call them, the way they spoke to me, the way if I asked them to help me, make gravy, i.e. pour the kettle, or get this, if I wanted a bit of toast, right, they wanted me to butter it myself while they held the toast. And I'm thinking, I can't do that because obviously I've always been left-handed. And they used to be like, oh, how are you going to live on your own, this and that. And then I turned around and was like, because I wouldn't have someone in the place 24/7. They're like, pretend that we're no here, and I'm like, how? I'm sorry, but I can't exactly turn myself to be blind. Like, they were just fucking arseholes.
I get what you mean. They're also probably taught to try and teach you to be independent, but you a lot see the blunt side. So you're just like, you are here, so do it if you're here. But
Ken, the way I've seen it is, I said to them, I've lived on my own before. They're like, but it's different now. I went, no shit, Sherlock. The only difference is I'm sitting on my arse. Now they're different. And so, when I spoke to my social worker, she was only looking at what they had in terms of houses. So, again, I had to do my social worker's job. I had to obviously apply for Eildon and housing.
Mm-hmm.
I done all that myself. My social worker, I'm gonna say she was useless.
It's good you done it yourself, though.
The thing is, she was shit. Like, so before that, I had a really shit social worker who helped me get my first house.
Mm-hmm.
And we viewed it, and I said to him that day, like, I want to start. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, I've just said it. And because I hated him, and I used to tell him, look, you're shit at your job. He's like, oh, you can't say that to me. I went, not lying, am I? And, like, for me, yes, I know social workers it's a tough job, but they can't expect to support someone or be someone's support social worker if they've not got the capabilities of actually doing the stuff that I had to go and do. That's what they get paid for. I did get paid to go and apply for housing and stuff like that. But you know what? I done it all by myself with no help. And then I got a house, which was buzzing. I moved in last year on the 13th of June last year.
Yeah, I remember it well.
And you know what? Been in there a year. And you know what? It's amazing. Like, I barely hear my neighbours. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, it's a flat, but there's only 1 bedroom flat, and I've got that. Mm-hmm. And it's not even in the same block of flats where the buzzer is. I've got my own front door. So that's even better. And you know what? The people at Henderside, they can't say shit. Because, look, I do wash my floors every day. But every second day. But I brush every day. I do my dishes. Obviously, I get support doing my dishes. Like, I wash, but they'll dry. I put in food in the oven.
Like, yeah, I've watched you do a lot of this.
Like, I do my shopping online. Yeah, sometimes I'll go and get it. But sometimes, because I'm not lazy, I'll do an online shop. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's quicker for me if I've got maybe hospital appointments or other stuff, whereas I can just do it. And look, I get an hour support in the morning. That's just to get me up, showered, dressed. I administer my own tablets myself. Again, I get half an hour at lunch. That's pretty much just to make sure I'm there.
You seem really passionate about this stuff. Probably the most passionate I've seen you. Is that something like to do with your independence that you're...
You know what? Yeah, my independence kind of got taken away from me for about maybe 4 or 5 years. Well, maybe 4 years. I couldn't do anything. Well, for 7 months, plus the time that I was still living with my dad and stuff. But just because I'm in a wheelchair, just because I've only got the use of my right hand side, doesn't mean that I can't live on my own. I've done it for a year and, well, I can't recall, being, not being able to do something. Because, yes, I've always got my support there to maybe help me with my hanging up my washer.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I love my own independence. I can do what I want when I want.
Mm-hmm. So what's your goal? What do you want to achieve?
You know what? Obviously I do exercises. I'm hoping to try, if I do more exercises, quite a lot more, and hit the gym more, to hopefully see if I can try and stand maybe middle of next year. Now, yeah, it's going to be tough. Now, my dad, he's not putting me down. He said he didn't think I I've got signals from the brain going to my left hip, which is understandable because he thinks that side of the brain's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
But he said to me, son, try. At least if you try and you can't do it, then you can't say that you've not tried. Now, I believe that I will stand again and I will walk again. Yes, I probably won't be able to walk as far. I'll walk probably with a limp. I'll still need the chair. But even if I can stand on my own again, that'll make a huge difference to my life. Like, massive.
Who put that belief back into you?
Probably you as well. No, like...
You'll be going down the wing soon, putting crosses in.
Like, it's not that, like, my dad's, like, tell me, I will work. That's what he thinks.
He needs to be realistic as well. He's seen it all. He knows 10 times more than anyone else. He knows.
I think he's being realistic and he thinks that, well, I'm in a fairyland.
Miracles do happen.
But, Ken, what? To be fair, the old man, he's 60, he's probably, right, I probably won't stand again. But then if I do, hopefully he doesn't have a bloody heart attack. Mm-hmm. One day I'll walk up to his door. Hi, Dad.
That would be a story, wouldn't it?
Look, and with me, I'll touch on it again. With me in 2018, I contacted the Sun just to share my story. And then in 2019, now, when I was younger, I've been in the paper when I was like a toddler kind of thing. And it only made the Sun and Daily Record. Mm-hmm. So me and my dad just thought, I'll just end up in 2 papers. Yeah, it wasn't until I woke up, someone had tagged me with an article of me in Australia.
Wow.
And it's like, you know what, every milestone or every achievement I do, of course I'll contact the papers, tell the papers, because I'm raising awareness as well. It's not just about publicity for me. Well, a wee bit is, but majority it's raising awareness. That look, I came back from basically being dead to what I'm all doing on social media. I mean, it's crazy the people that I've met, just what I've all done in the past. In the past, 5 years that I've done social media for. It's mad.
What, before we wrap it up, what do you think the next couple of years looks like for you? What way are you going to expand your platforms? What awareness are you wanting to? Are you going to branch out? Are you going to, because I know you do most of your work for the stroke ward and stuff, your awareness, what's your plan? What are you thinking? I know it was a Coven brand, but you kind of shut that down.
No, I've not shut it down. I've still got it, but at the moment I'm not promoting it as much. Because what I want to do is I want to look at what's selling and what's not selling. Mm-hmm. And then bring out bigger and better items.
Is your YouTube a big thing? Are you wanting to get back into YouTube?
Yeah, so obviously I'm still doing match day vlogs, love doing that. But I want to do more interviews with football personalities. I want to try and aim big as I can. Try and interview the likes of John McGinn, maybe Jack Grealish, people like that. Because at the end of the day, all of them's got different footballing backgrounds. Not everyone's got the same story or same background.
What advice would you give to anyone out there that's having a hard time with Noonans?
You know what? Yeah. People that live with Noonans, we get our down days. But you know what? Think about all the Hearts fans, or even if you're a Celtic fan, all the Rangers fans, they'll probably be having a shitter time. So now look, keep being you, keep being positive, and do what you believe in. If that's doing YouTube, TikTok, anything, put your mind, anything that you put your mind to, go for it. At the end of the day, you only live once, and no one knows how long you've got left on this earth, planet, whatever you want to call it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Darren Phil Thomson. Follow him on social media. His TikTok is
Darren Phil Thomson, so that's DarrenPhillThomson.
Is it Darren Phil Thomson on all platforms?
Yes.
Get him on TikTok.
Apart from Twitter, it's Darren P. Thompson.
Twitter, YouTube and Instagram, where you do most of your stuff. Mostly on TikTok. Give him a follow. Big things to come from Darren and a lot of awareness to be raised. It's good hearing and listening to a story from being on the other side of it, being in someone who's went through or going through diseases like such as or conditions that you've had, because a lot of the time, like one of my schoolmates, I would really wanted him in a podcast, but he can't really speak, so he couldn't come on. And I've always wanted to hear his story. Do you know what I mean? From the kind of other side of it. So it's been really nice to hear your story, your opinions, the way you think about stuff, the way you view stuff, what you get passionate about. Because I'm sure it will resonate with a lot of people in the same space as you, and just how amazing you're doing, and how many people you're inspiring, and how you've grown a huge fan base. You've grown a lot of loyal followers who support you to the moon and back, and you can now, I feel you're at a level now you can go and do what you want to do, because you've got that Darren's army now.
Well, I mean, I do have probably one big massive supporter. It's actually the Hibernian CEO Ben Kenzel. So Ben, if you do watch this, honestly, you're a top guy, and what you're doing for Hibs, keep doing it. But remember me when you're famous.
Oh, he already is famous, isn't he? He's done great for you as well, isn't he? And you've got a good relationship.
We do, like, I've got a great relationship with the likes of Ben, Lewis Stevenson, Gary O'Connor, like so many other footballing personalities. It's mad.
Yeah, and it's only the start.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming on. We'll go and get a few whiskies now, and have a talk about how shite Hibs are.
Shut it, you.
Thanks for watching, Troops. See you next week.